Hello. Today we are excited to bring you a special episode of Backstage Buzz with big news coming soon to the Cleve Carney Gallery and the Mackinac Art Center. I'm Diana Martinez, and I'm joined today by Director and Curator of the Cleve Carney Art Gallery, Justin Witte, who's here to help me share this rare opportunity with you. So, without any delay, here's what has us all so excited at the Mac. Justin, this is awesome.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
You know, I don't think, sometimes I don't believe it's real that we're doing this.
Well, you know, when the opportunity came to get this collection from the Dolores Olmedo Museum, it did seem so kind of unreal, right? The fact that this world-famous collection of one of the most iconic artists of the 20th century that everyone knows about would be coming to our art center and our gallery. But it's happening.
It is happening.
Yeah.
And you're going to make it happen, and I'm going to figure out how we're going to make it happen, and we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, I want to share with everybody how we got it.
Okay.
And it's Alan Peterson, truly, who it was a really great friend of the man whose mother owned and
right.
collected this collection, Dolores Olmedo.
Yeah.
And Alan was friends with him. They have a vacation home.
Yeah.
And happened to live next door to each other, and over the years have become great, great friends. And Alan wanted to do this to help elevate the college, the Mackinac Art Center, the Cleve Carney Art Gallery, and bring attention to Glen Allen and the school he loves so much. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't say that. And everybody needs to know Alan Peterson truly is. This was his idea.
Absolutely. And I think just to add on to that as well, like his relationship with Carlos Phillips, who's from the museum, how that started was so amazing is because they became friends through being neighbors at one of Alan's places in Colorado. And it was through Alan reaching out to build bridges between himself and his community and this family that was coming up from Mexico. And just how perfect is that now Carlos is coming back and saying, we want to continue to build these bridges and use your community and use the College of DuPage and the MAC and the Cleve Carney Art Gallery to do that. It is really phenomenal.
And I think the whole, you know, Alan wrote that the reason he feels that he was successful was he always built bridges between business partners or associations with philanthropic organizations he was in, and he found his greatest satisfaction was in building bridges. So I think you and I have loved that theme.
Absolutely.
Because of, you know, what's going on in the world. And I think, too, this is such an incredible opportunity to embrace our neighbors from the south of the border and all of the Hispanic Americans who live in this area. I think it's just such a positive thing.
Absolutely.
And I love it because of that.
And I think also with the reason I think so many people are drawn to her work is because even if they don't have the same experiences that Frida Kahlo had, the way in which she honestly expresses them through her work, really sharing most intimate parts of our lives fearlessly, I think that gets to ultimately what is at the base of everyone's condition, the human condition. And so when you have that, you automatically connect to it. And so these other kind of descriptions, these other kind of labels that so often are used to divide as far as nationality, as far as location, as far as language, those kind of disappear because you realize that connection, we're all dealing with a lot of the same issues.
You know, what's fascinating to me, and I want to talk about the art for 1 minute.
Yeah.
We have 26 pieces coming, which is pretty significant, right?
Absolutely. Even though Frida Kahlo is so well known, she didn't actually produce that much work. Part of it is because she unfortunately did not live to be terribly old. But also the way in which she worked was, incredibly small, detailed. She didn't start till relatively later compared to some artists. She was in her late teens, early 20s when she really started showing. And to have 26 original pieces out of under 200 that are out there in circulation is just shows what an amazing opportunity this is. And of those 26 pieces, 19 are original paintings.
So there was an incredible kickoff event to celebrate that this is coming. So everybody in the community can get excited and get ready and make their plans. And we have a clip from that event that you were at.
Yeah.
So can we show everybody our clip?
Absolutely.
All right. This is our Frida Kahlo 2020 exhibition kickoff party. And there's really two reasons why we're here. One is to honor Alan Peterson, who is a gentleman who lives in Glen Ellen, who is a real supporter of the MAC and the college. And he was like, what can we do to really elevate the level of the college and the MAC? And then he said, I have this friend, and he owns Frida Kahlo's art. And I was like, really? And we started talking and exploring the possibility, and so we're here to say a year later, it's happening. We are bringing Frida Kahlo's art to the College of DuPage for an exhibition in 2020.
What this exhibition means for the college is our ability to not only celebrate and note important cultural events in the life of the country and the world, but to also bring together scholars and students and citizens and residents and taxpayers and all kinds of people around the country to celebrate not only Frida Kahlo, but the rich culture of America.
I think the board approved the artwork coming here because we do recognize the incredible impact that the MAC has on DuPage County. It's much beloved by all of our District 502 residents and beyond. So this really does, again, give us a way to support the arts, to introduce some innovative curriculum opportunities and ideas, and to really have an event that the entire campus and our community can really get invested in and get around.
On behalf of the Honorable Carlos Jimenez Macías, Consul General of Mexico, he asked me to express his most sincere recognition for bringing Frida Kahlo's exhibition to the Midwest and for using art to build a new bridge of understanding between our two countries.
It really elevates Mackinac Performing Arts Center and really elevates the gallery part of the Performing Arts Center, which is really incredible. In addition to that, the hundreds of thousands of people that will come through is really amazing. And what I think is unique for us, because this has been to different museums and in different countries, but we're a college, so we can do educational programming, and we're a performing arts center, so we can do music, theater, and dance performances to support it. So I personally think in this day and age, it's just a really incredible opportunity for students, for faculty, for the community. One thing that we have that typical museums don't have is a faculty, a college, resources, students. And I think that makes our exhibition kind of a really unique experience to other exhibitions that you might see, because we have a lot to draw on, and we'll have opportunities for education and outreach. What are you thinking about when you think about that in terms of programming?
Well, I think you're right, Diana. And if you just look at that event, there was already a hint of how that component is going to play out. We had that wonderful dress created by the fashion studies students. We had an amazing cake created by the culinary students. There is so much to draw from as far as skill from our faculty, but also kind of the enthusiasm from our students in the community, because it's not just coming to a location in their community, it's actually coming to their community.
Right.
And it's going to be embedded in the college. And I think that not only does that give us an advantage in terms of resources, intellectual, physical resources, but also it really lines up with what I like to feel, and I know you do too, would really be how Frida Kahlo would feel about this, because it's about the community.
Right.
This isn't about it's not going to some hidden, high-cost elite place, right? This is for people whose voice her voice may mean the most to, will have access to. And for the show, that means we're going to have a lot of information. For example, the lobby of the Art Center is going to be transformed into kind of a historical exhibition telling people about her life, her influence, her struggles. That educational component is going to be amazing alongside the artwork. But also the amount of educational opportunities, classes, lectures. We'll have a whole lecture series, educational series for children. It's really going to be almost like a Frida Kahlo community college.
Well, you know what I love about her is I was in the lobby working on something and a student came by and went, Frida Kahlo? She's coming here?
Yeah.
And the fact that she resonates with 17-year-olds today
Absolutely.
is unique. Not a lot of artists have that
No.
magic. And so young people like her, older people like her, and I feel like she's got so many sides to her that make her so attractive. And you know, there's people who write about the Frida mania because she's kind of a pop icon now. And I think it's fascinating that we have someone that relates to people. If you've overcome physical issues, you relate to her.
Absolutely.
Women relate to her. Immigrants relate to her.
Right.
Women love her. You know, there's just so many different sides to her. Artists respect her, you know, and her father was a photographer and she dated a photographer.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so many interesting, I think, attractive parts to her. And I think you described it once as she's a prism.
A prism, yeah, I was saying she's very much like it because so many people reflect onto her, what they see or what we relate to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's really hard to see what's in the center because there is all of these different facets that people are drawn to. And in some ways, that's amazing because it can relate to such a broad range of people. The other aspect of that that gives us the opportunity to tell more about the story of who she actually was. Because I think there is this great Frida mania, which creates this incredible attention and focus on her work and awareness of her work. But at the same time, there's still so much to learn about her. And I think when we get people from across the country and the region onto campus, into the Art Center, into the gallery, and they spend time with her work, they're really going to learn about her in a much deeper, more accurate way, and they're going to be learning from her paintings.
And she was a big student. She was one of the few students who got to go to this new school, and she wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
I read last night she taught for a little while. And
Yeah,
I thought that was
she
interesting.
taught, and she continued when she was in too much, or she was unable to travel to the university to continue teaching. She continued teaching a small but loyal group of painters at her home. And there's even, you know, in some of her paintings, even sometimes there's symbols of different animals or monkeys that relate to those students because they had such a strong connection. And you're right, she, you know, at a time when not a lot of women were encouraged or allowed to seek higher education, she was at the National Preparatory School, which was a very prestigious institution. And that's actually the first time she met who would eventually be her husband, Diego Rivera, except she didn't meet him in some sweet sort of way. Her and her friends were always playing pranks on him while he was like painting murals at their school. And not pranks like, oh, we're gonna tie your shoes together. They would like light his scaffolding on fire, all sorts of things. So who'd imagine, you know, a decade later, they would be one of the most famous couples in Mexico and in the world.
So you know how you said she's a prism and different people see themselves in her? What do you see?
I see someone who is not restricted by conventional definition. So if you look at the time she lived in, or even by today's standard, she didn't restrict herself by what society told her people with disabilities could do. She didn't restrict herself by society told her what gender roles were. She didn't restrict herself in society by who told her who could be an artist or who couldn't be an artist. You know, she didn't restrict herself saying what is the proper thing to say, what is the proper thing to talk about. She spoke honestly about her life experience, who she was, and she chose to do everything possible to be the person in her life that she knew she needed to be. That was an artist, that was an outspoken advocate for people in her country, for people in need, and for an unapologetically strong woman. And I think that although at times people like to think that all those areas have been solved or addressed, they're as relevant today as ever, even maybe more so. So that's what I see. And on top of that, she's just an amazing painter. So I think often in these conversations, we forget the fact that
she's a great painter.
These are phenomenal paintings.
You know what I love about her paintings, what I find interesting is in today's world, everybody's about the selfie, right? And she's known for her self-portraits.
Yeah.
And what I admire the most about her is if Frida was doing selfies today, she's not the person on Facebook taking 5,000 pictures trying to get the perfect angle.
Right.
She shows herself in her self-portraits at her most vulnerable,
right.
at her most painful ways, you know, where people are always trying to show the stiff upper lip, like I'm fine, everything's great. She showed, I'm broken, I'm hurting, my husband left me with a picture of her husband on her forehead, I can't get him out of my mind. She is so unafraid and unapologetic about how she feels, what she thinks, who she is. And I thought, it's so interesting because today's world is all about, you know, everybody has the perfect picture and takes 52 selfies. And I thought, you know, it takes a bold woman to do that, especially a woman, to show herself in a vulnerable light. And then what's ironic on the flip side, when you see the photographs of her, the time she took in her own presentation. So she was very feminine, very beautiful, and very extravagant, you know, with the flowers and the jewelry and the dresses and true to her culture. And I just love that. I just love that there's that two sides to her.
Well, I think there's a key in that is that when you're taking an image of yourself or aware that you're being photographed, you're preparing for that moment and you're very aware of like how you're presenting yourself, the image you want to put forth to the world. And she was very aware of how to do that. And like that's why her photos are so phenomenal, because of the way she presented herself, because of her astounding style, because of her astounding presence. But when you're doing a self-portrait as a painting, you're spending hours and days and weeks, if not directly looking at yourself through a mirror, looking at yourself on a canvas. And I think that it's impossible at that point to honestly stand in that confrontation with yourself and not start to think about who you are beyond just the surface image. And that's why I think it's so important, again, that we all have the opportunity to see these paintings, because we have that experience of that time, of that contemplation versus like the quick image.
Right.
So self-portraiture is different than
a selfie,
pictures of self. Yeah. And I think that, you see that just in her own life.
But she chose, I mean, I've seen a lot of self-portrait artists and they're funny or they're this, but she was like just pretty brutal in some of them. And I admire her. And I think that's why the community is going to really embrace this. Because like you said, there's so many ways for people to reflect and find a connection. You know, we had a lot of people come to the kickoff event, which was exciting. We had politicians, we had community members, we had students, and to me, I was thrilled because I thought, this is what we want the exhibit to be like. We want everybody to feel welcome and engaged. And I think not only will people in our community enjoy this, but I believe we're going to have a really incredible visitor rate from people coming in the surrounding areas to come in and support this event, which is good for our community, for the college, for the town, for restaurants, for hotels. You know, the bridges that this is building on so many levels is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I think that and with all the connection through the community and the college that we have, we talked about, I think it's also so amazing that when people get here and they get into the gallery, they'll see all the work we've put in to make that a world-class museum experience as well. So it's not like we're having the one without the other. We're creating this like incredibly welcoming community event, but then we're also gonna have a world-class exhibition as well. And I know you and I have done a lot of work to achieve that, and we've, I can't wait to show that off to everyone else as well.
I can't wait for everybody to see what you do. I can't wait to see exactly what you do. I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about it, but I know it's going to be terrific. I really do. I'm really excited. And the historical part, and we're going to have a movie,
Yes,
right?
of course.
So historical movie, then the
Well,
lobby
the timeline of her life, yeah,
timeline,
with a
okay.
lot of photography outlining her life. We're going to highlight kind of her struggles with, but also how she addressed her numerous health issues, some of them spawning from her early accident in a bus when she was in her teenage years, some of her even way back to when she was a small child and had polio. We're going to address her influence as a political and fashion icon, highlight some of the photographs that we've talked about, and then obviously
the art.
Paintings. And what's amazing about the paintings that we haven't really talked about this, is that this collection from the Olmedo Museum, because they've had it so long, they were some of the first people to be able to choose which works to have. So we're getting this collection that really has pieces from the full arc of her career. So visitors to the space are going to see pivotal pieces from when she was just starting as an artist, some of her most iconic portraits and self-portraits, and some of her really most powerful symbolic portraits as well. And I think that in itself makes it unique, that we have that range of pieces on display.
And in addition to that,
Yeah.
we're hoping to have a food area, a gift shop, and programming that surrounds it, because we're in an art center. So we're looking at ballet folkloric troupes, we're looking at a one-woman Frida show. There'll be a lot of entertainment and arts. And one part of the press conference, I asked a local ballet folkloric troupe that has won awards from here to Texas if they would come and help us celebrate this. And I thought when they performed, it sort of showed everyone how far we can go with this in terms of complementary programming and engaging the community. Let's take a look. Those little ones steal the show every time. They're adorable. So in terms of programming, we have so much to look forward to leading up to the event, through the event. And is there anything you're particularly super excited about?
Well, the first thing I'm excited about is actually before the event, and that's our Frida Fest.
Me too.
And I think that, whereas this press launch was the first time I felt like this is really happening, I think for the community, that's going to be like the
This
first
is really
time
happening.
This is really happening, yeah.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for coming and sharing this with everybody. And there's a lot to keep track of. And everybody, if you want to be in touch and on top of all the developments, visit Frida2020.com. That's FRIDA2020.com. And sign up for our updates and newsletters and more information so you can stay in the know about future programming relating to this unprecedented opportunity. For tickets or more information, be sure to visit atthemac.org. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you at the theater or in the gallery and next time on Backstage Buzz.
The Mackinac Art Center is DuPage County's home for entertainment and culture, featuring over 30 world-class international touring shows, from music to comedy to dance and family favorites. The Mac is also home of the Buffalo Theater Ensemble, professional theater company in residence, and the award-winning New Philharmonic Orchestra, a professional orchestra in residence. The Cleve Carney Art Gallery in the center holds the largest collection of contemporary art outside the city of Chicago and features free installations, openings, and artist talks throughout the year. The MAC also supports 2 student galleries on campus. There is access for everyone with the free Lakeside Summer Series each summer, free International Film Series each winter, and free Friday at noon music presentations. And that's not all. The MAC is home to a robust education program with classes in all areas of the arts. With plenty of free parking, a full-service bar, and upgraded VIP service, the MAC is your home for arts and entertainment.